The laugh came easily to him, the kind that echoed across marble floors and glass walls, the kind that assumed the world would always bend before wealth. It happened in a private banking lounge overlooking a gray American city, where power wore tailored suits and humility was rarely invited inside. She stood there with tired eyes and worn hands, clutching a simple phone, as if it were the last fragile proof that her life still had meaning. All she wanted, she said softly, was to see her balance. To him, it sounded like a joke. To her, it was hope hanging by a thread. Before the story unfolds further, take a moment. If you believe in silent heroes, in second chances, and in the quiet strength of people the world overlooks, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still waiting to believe again. Her name was Grace Miller, and she had once lived an ordinary, peaceful life in a small town in the United States. She worked long hours at a local community center, helping seniors fill out forms and teaching children how to read. It was never glamorous, but it was honest work, and she believed God saw value in it even when the world did not. Then came the years that stripped everything away. Her husband passed after a sudden illness. Medical bills piled up faster than prayers could be answered, and the house they shared was lost to foreclosure. Grace learned what it meant to survive quietly, without asking, without complaining, carrying faith like a hidden ember inside her chest. She moved to the city because the city promised work, even if it also promised loneliness. She cleaned offices at night, slept in a shared room, and saved every spare dollar. What no one knew was that Grace had also been careful in another way. Years earlier, she had invested a small inheritance from her father, a devout man who taught her patience and stewardship. She never touched it, even when things became unbearable. She told herself it was not desperation money. It was faith money. She believed that if God had guided her father to leave it, then God would guide her to know when it was time. The day she walked into the private bank, she did not belong there by any visible measure. Her coat was old, her shoes scuffed, her posture shaped by years of being invisible. The room smelled of polished wood and confidence. The millionaire Thomas Reed sat nearby, a man whose life had been shaped by acquisition and control. He was known for his sharp instincts and sharper tongue, a self-made success who believed struggle was a temporary inconvenience, not a permanent state. When he noticed Grace waiting, confusion crossed his face, then amusement. To him, she represented a world he believed he had escaped forever. Grace approached the counter with humility, asking only to view her account. There was no demand in her voice, only quiet resolve. Thomas watched from a distance, smirking, convinced he already understood the entire story. He assumed it was another misunderstanding, another person chasing a dream that had already expired. He laughed because laughter was easier than empathy, because laughter kept his own fears at bay. He did not know that the smallest moments often carry the weight of transformation. As the banker processed Grace's request, the room seemed to slow. Grace's heart pounded, not from greed, but from fear of disappointment. She had prepared herself for modest results. She only wanted reassurance that her sacrifice had not been in vain. When the screen finally loaded, the air changed. The banker's posture shifted, professionalism tightening into disbelief. Numbers appeared that did not belong to a woman who cleaned offices at night. The balance reflected years of patient growth, careful decisions, and time doing what time does best when given trust. Thomas noticed the silence first. The laughter died on his lips as he leaned forward, curiosity replacing arrogance. He saw the reflection of the screen in the glass wall and felt something unfamiliar stir inside him. The number was not small. It was life-changing. It was more than he expected, more than he had earned in his first decade of struggle. In that moment, the room no longer felt like his territory. It felt like a lesson. Grace did not celebrate. She did not cry out or raise her hands. She simply closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, as if thanking God for keeping a promise only they both knew about. Her life had not been easy, and money did not erase grief or loss, but it validated endurance. It honored restraint. It proved that quiet faith could stand its ground against ridicule. Thomas felt exposed, not because of wealth, but because of perspective. He realized how quickly he had judged, how easily he had dismissed a soul whose journey he had never walked. For the first time in years, his success fell hollow, built on numbers without meaning. Grace's presence reminded him of his own beginnings, when hope was fragile and pride had not yet hardened his heart. The days that followed changed both of them, though in different ways. Grace used her resources carefully, just as she always had. She paid debts, secured a modest home, and returned to community center, not as a worker, but as a supporter. She funded literacy programs, food drives, and quiet scholarships for children who reminded her of herself. She never sought recognition. She believed blessings multiplied best when shared without noise. Thomas, on the other hand, could not forget the moment he laughed. It followed him into boardrooms and penthouses. He began questioning what success meant if it left no room for grace. Slowly, intentionally, he redirected parts of his wealth toward causes he once ignored, not because it looked good, but because it felt necessary. Grace never asked him for anything, but her example asked everything of him. If this story is touching something deep inside you, if it reminds you of a time you were judged too quickly or underestimated, please pause here and comment below. Share what this moment means to you or who it reminds you of. Your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. Years later, Grace's story spread quietly through acts of kindness rather than headlines. People spoke of a woman whose strength was gentle, whose faith was steady, and whose victory came without vengeance. She proved that dignity does not demand applause, and that patience can outlast mockery. Her life became a living testimony that God's timing often looks like delay until it suddenly looks like destiny. Thomas never laughed the same way again. He learned that screens can reveal more than numbers, and moments of humility can be more valuable than any fortune. He understood that the true balance of a life is measured not by what is accumulated, but by what is returned to the world with compassion. As this story comes to a close, if it moved your heart even a little, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. And just before you go, leave a comment saying why stories of silent heroes matter to you. Sometimes, belief begins with a single shared story, and sometimes that story changes everything.